Have you ever wondered why people pick the careers they do? Why a proctologist decides I'm going to be a proctologist? Or even why comedians who make everybody laugh suffer with depression? You ever wondered why people start a business and then quit it? Well, all of this has to do with people's big whys. And people's big whys are oftentimes a derivative of something that's happened to them, a reference experience, an experiential negative thing that they wish to rail against. Because there are jobs out there that it's like, why would anybody do this job? And if you hear their story, it makes sense to you why they're passionate about something that I would never do. Well, the same is true about real estate. The problem is real estate oftentimes looks sexy. It's the thing that everybody wants to do, and most of the time it's because the barrier to entry is so low. People think with very little effort, I can make a lot of money. And although that can be true, and in many cases has been true, it's really misleading because it requires a specific mindset and a specific set of skills to be successful in it. Those skills can be learned by almost anybody who has a big enough why to push past the barriers that stop them from succeeding at this business. In today's video, this is what we're going to talk about: your big why. What does that look like? What are the components made of? How do you find it? And kind of dive into this conversation a little bit. It's a difficult conversation because what people think a big why is could be a smaller why of a reason they want to do it, but it's not powerful enough for them to overcome certain things. If you're interested in more content like this, please consider subscribing to our channel below and comment. Tell us what you think and what your big why is. Let us know what you need to know to be successful in real estate. We're here to answer the questions that you have and to be authentic. Our experience in real estate is pretty extensive, but it is only our experience. We don't claim to be the gurus of it all, but we are somebody who has failed repeatedly at this and has also succeeded at a pretty high level. My name is Jason Wilson. I'm the broker owner of Inspire Realty Group and the owner and associate broker of Ursula & Associates, powered by Keller Williams Realty Partners. And we have what is known as an MREA team, a millionaire real estate agent team, producing $1 million in commissions each year. And we're going to take you on the journey of the big why. So people choose the real estate career oftentimes for the wrong reason. What do I mean by that? I don't mean that there are certain people that shouldn't be in the industry, because it really is an industry that makes itself available to everybody. But one of the common things that my wife and I hear when we're interviewing people that want to be on our team and part of our organization is, I got into real estate for the flexibility. And when we ask, well, tell me what that means more. They're like, well, a 9-to-5 job, I got to work 9 to 5. My hours are constrained. And what I want is the freedom to be able to say, I'm not working today, and move around and do these things. And so what they perceive real estate to be is a part-time or hobby thing that can make as much money or more money than what they're making at their job. This is usually the first red flag that we see, that their big why is they want to work less and make more. And although you absolutely can do that with time and effort, to say real estate is a part-time gig that's easy to do and makes a lot of money, you will find yourself frustrated. Now, you might not want to make $1 million. You might want to just make $100,000 a year in this business. However, if you don't put in the front end effort, it's not like a job. You don't show up to the store known as Keller Williams and sit there and somebody walks in and you say, well, it's my turn in line. I'd like you to buy a house. How much is it? 400 grand? Well, great. I just made $12,000 because it was my turn in line. That's not how this works. There's a lot of other highly competent agents that have relationships that they'll come in and choose those people over and over again. You're like, well, when's it my turn in line? Well, that's the complex part about building the business. And everything has to be about the why. So I'm going to ask you, why are you getting into the real estate business? If you would, comment below. Tell me what your reason for wanting to do this business is. If you disagree with me and have been highly successful and you're like, I got in this to do it part-time and I make $100,000 on the side every year, I'd love to hear it. We want to hear your success stories. And what I can tell you for the vast majority of people we've coached over the years, that if you have had that success doing it part-time, that is not common. And when markets shift, it will affect you. So big why is one of those complicated things. Sometimes people say, my big why is I want to make $100,000 or $1 million or whatever the number is. And unfortunately, that's a byproduct of a big why. It's not a big why. Usually, most people don't wake up in the morning saying, I will face the fire, I will work till I pass out just so that I can get a check that is this big. Usually the check is tied to something specific. And this is where you start to dive into what your why is. If that check is, why do you want to make $100,000? Someone might say, I need to make $100,000 because we're a 2-income household, and my big why is to take that $100,000 and be able to put my 2 kids in a private school so that they can be taught with the Christian values that I grew up with, and that costs an inordinate amount of money. If I make it extra because we pay our bills with the spouse's salary, then that means I can afford this. See, now we're getting to something that produces energy because it's about somebody else, that when you get up in the morning, you're like, I don't know if I want to do this, what it requires me to do in real estate. And then you go, I really want my kids to stay in this school. We're getting a bill for it. I've got to pay that bill for it. I need to get and go do it. It gives you energy to go up against the thing that you don't necessarily want to do, which is pick up the phone or go talk to strangers and face rejection, because not everybody you talk to is going to be like, well, yeah, you. So it gives you the energy to move on it. Now, long term, that particular why will only suffice you for so long. How do I know? Well, my wife and I are empty nesters, and our kids are basically done with school. They've all moved out of the house at one point or another, and the last one is graduating college, fully paid off. And so I don't have to produce revenue anymore to fund my kids' schooling because they're done. They've gone out. So if that was my big why, then I might be on my sunset. And that does happen, right? A big why doesn't have to be the one that lasts you your lifetime, but it does need to fuel you for now. But you'd be foolish not to recognize that the why may have to change, grow, or morph so that it continually gives you energy to move forward in the business to the next thing, to the next thing. Have you ever seen the show, Everyone Wants to Be a Millionaire? Well, the reality is everybody does want to be a millionaire, and they want to do it not tied to painful toil and labor. In other words, they want to win it. It's kind of a lottery mentality, which is it doesn't take me a whole lot of effort to go spend $1 on the Powerball ticket and hope that I win, and now I'm a millionaire, but I didn't have to do anything, but now I can quit everything. So the next thing I want to talk about when finding your big why is the moving towards and the moving away. Most people in life, when they face conflict and pain, either move towards something because they want to achieve it, but more often than not, they're moving away from pain. So what I want to say is, if you're avoiding a certain pain, like you're like, I want to be in real estate because I want to work part-time and make more money, and I want to do less, that's a moving away from. You're trying to move away from 40 hours a week, and still either make the same or better money. And although that can be fine, you must recognize that as you're moving away from something, by default, you're moving towards something else. And more people move away from pain than towards pleasure. That seems to be a human fact. It's very pleasurable to make a big check and help out a family and do this, but there's a lot of pain in talking to 100 people to have 1 or 2 say they want to do business with you, to be able to get to that result of, oh, this was awesome, I received a big check, this family is now like my family, and they love it, and we love being in business together. But you went through all this rejection, that pain on the front side of waking up every morning going, well, I just talked to 20 more people today, and everybody said, no, thank you, or I'm not buying, or I'm waiting for interest rates to change, or I already have a real estate agent, or I am a real estate agent. And it's like you go through all that, and most people are like, ooh, okay, I got 20 no's. Let's find the next set of no's. This is great. I love this. I've never heard anybody respond like that. Now, if you do respond like that, you might be really good at this business. However, you don't have to be that person to do it. Some people build the business by cold calls and cold leads and creating relationship with people they don't know. Others do it through networking and build the business long-term with long, deep relationships. But at the end of the day, in either case, it's numbers. I have to know, talk to, and be in relationship with more people in order to have opportunity to be able to go out and help them. So no matter what you do, it's still communicating with people and getting rejection. Even if the rejection isn't, I'm not going to work with you. It might be like you talk to 100 people and all 100 of them said, yes, you're my person. And you're like, awesome. When are you looking to buy? And they're like, not now. And you go, do you know anybody looking to buy? And they're like, no. Well, that's a no. It'll feel like a rejection. You're like, I've talked to 100 people, and out of the 100 people that love me, only one of them had a lead that I can actually work right now. And the other 99 didn't. Doesn't mean they won't in the future, but now you have to continue to bring value to them to be able to get there. What's going to give you the energy to want to keep doing this for the success? And that always comes back to the big why. So if you're a move away from person, moving away from pain, or if you're a pleasure person, which is moving towards pleasure, we have to define what that looks like. And kids can be one reason. Challenge and overcoming and being successful in a title and recognition could be other things. And what you'll know is you'll oftentimes say, well, I want things like this because we all want $1 million. But if I told you that to get $1 million, you had to work, 100 hours a week, and you had to do it pulling a bus with a rope and physically exhausting yourself for 100 hours a week, and you have to do that for 30 years, you might be like, thanks, but no thanks. The price of that $1 million just isn't worth it, right? There's a point at which you don't want to do what is necessary to be done to be able to make the money. There are things that you can do to make $1 million that I am not interested in doing. Like if that's the option laid on the table, I'm going to be like, thanks, but no thanks. Your $1 million, I don't want it. It's too expensive. Meaning it takes too much of my time, too much of my effort, and I hate it. So doing things you love have to be that driving force. So for myself, I'm going to talk about my big why. My big why is to have the maximum impact in people's lives. Big why can be an ethereal thing, and it can be a moving target. For myself, I've distilled that down to maximum impact. I love to have a powerful, positive, maximum impact, the best I can create in the lives of my clients and in the lives of the agents that work with me so that they have better lives. Impact is always a driving factor, positive impact specifically. What that can look like for you is different based off of your gifts. One of the gifts I have is communication, and what I like to do is educate people so that they too, based off of getting the information they need, can make an informed decision for themselves. Sometimes that decision is, I don't want to buy or sell. Sometimes that decision is, this team and organization isn't right for me because what I really want to do is build my own independent thing. And all of those things are good. Here's your homework. If you're looking for your big why, other than you need to make more money or you need to make $100,000, I would ask you to take an old improv tenet that we did, which is called 3 steps away. What 3 steps away looks like is this. I need to make, I'm going to make up some numbers. I need to make $500,000. Okay, why do you need to make $500,000? Well, because I want to be able to invest so that I have a retirement for my future. Okay, so where are you going to retire? Well, I would like to retire owning a food truck in Hawaii or somewhere on the beach. Well, take it one more step. Where's your family in this scenario? Well, I'd like to make enough money that my investments fund me and I can even move my kids with me and their families. Okay, so now you're starting to get somewhere. Now, is all of that real? I mean, there's no way in the world you're going to be able to dictate where your kids live, and the whole idea of why you might get balled up and thrown out the door. But the point is, if you have a passion tied to that emotion to be able to create that world where the option to do so, assuming everybody wanted it, is available, that might be a starting place for you. If you're interested in having a conversation about your big why and doing a slightly deeper dive to see why real estate might be a good career fit for you, you can contact us by the information below. The links are down in the description. And Erin, my wife, will be able to spend some time with you and also send you some assessments to find out where you might fit in the real estate industry and where you might thrive in it. It would be really good if you went in and worked on your strengths rather than trying to make strong weaknesses. Thank you again. We'll see you next time.